Hello guys, it is Gate of Theories here, and before we go any further, I'm going to issue out a massive spoiler warning for the brand new Disney animation, Raya and the Last Dragon. Guys, if you haven't bought it on Disney Plus yet, or you live in a really rare part of the world right now where cinemas are open, but you just haven't went to see it yet, then go and watch it, or wait until it is fully released on Disney Plus, and then come back to this video, as today, I will be spoiling this film as soon as we start. But if you haven't seen it and are wondering about whether to watch it or not, go check out our spoiler-free review on the film to see whether it's worth buying, and you can get that by clicking on the card up there, or there will be a link in the description down below. But anyway guys, Raya and the Last Dragon was absolutely amazing in my opinion, and I am so glad that finally at the end Raya defeated the Droon and brought back Kamandra. However, there was only one thing that really began bugging me about the ending as soon as I'd finished watching the film, and that is who Raya brought back. Because Raya and her friends managed to bring back not just all the humans, but every single dragon that had been stoned for 500 years. Which, I get it's a Disney movie, and if the Marvel films have taught us anything, no one, whether they're snapped out of existence or turned to stone, is ever really dead, and always returns eventually at the end. But the big question I had in my mind is, why didn't the dragons return in the first place when Sisu brought all the humans back, and why do they only return when Raya brings them back? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be answering today, but before we go any further, please make sure that you've clicked that red subscribe button and have your notifications turned on so that you get notified every time we make a brand new Disney video. So, firstly, let's discuss what the film tells us happens each time when the heroes defeat the Droon. Originally, the country of Kamandra was populated by dragons and humans living harmoniously together. However, the Droon came spreading like a plague and turned all the humans into stone and all of the dragons into stone, leaving only a family of 5 dragons left: Sisu, Amber, Prani, Jargon, and Pengu. Together, they combine all of their special abilities of glowing, shape-shifting, fog, and rain to form the Dragon Gem, and this gem is basically made up of all the living dragons being connected to each other. And as Sisu describes when she's telling the story to Raya, one by one they combined all their magic, creating the Dragon Gem. They trusted me and I trusted them. When they put their faith in me, it empowered me beyond anything I could imagine. Then, Sisu's 4 siblings get turned to stone, leaving Sisu to use the Dragon Gem to wipe out the Droon and bring back all the humans who had been turned to stone. However, the dragons still remain stone. Then, the Dragon Gem is fought over by the humans as it's the last remnant of dragon magic, and this breaks up Kamandra into 5 sections, and the gem is locked away by the people of Heart. Then, 500 years later, when the Droon reappears, Raya and her 4 friends/enemies from the different 5 sections come together and put their trust in their enemy Namari, and they all turn to stone at the end, only for the gem to eventually lighten up and getting rid of all of the Droon and returning not only the humans but the dragons as well from 500 years ago. So clearly something mustn't have happened in the first time that did happen in the second time to allow the dragons to return with the humans. So to try and figure out what it was, I'd basically played Spot the Difference between these 2 scenes to see if there was anything useful I could find. The obvious similarity is that both times they use the gem, both create, or in Raya's case, recreate the gem. However, the first time it was used by the 5 dragons who use magic, and the second time it was used by humans who don't use magic. My initial thought was maybe the way how the gem works is that you can only bring back the opposite species and sacrifice your own species. This would explain why when the dragons used the gem, only humans returned and none of their own species did. However, this is basically debunked by the fact that when Raya does it, the humans still return alongside with the dragons. So my other theory, which was quite similar to that, was that since the dragons created the gem and basically absorbed all of their magic into this gem to create it in the first place, that no dragon could then use it to bring back the dragons, and only a non-dragon user who didn't create this gem could, which would explain why the dragons returned when Raya used it and not Sisu. However, that just didn't seem very realistic, that the all-powerful dragons would create a device that they couldn't use themselves. So I basically became stuck. Like, I honestly hit a brick wall for a couple of hours, and I had no clue why the humans managed to bring back the dragons, but the dragons themselves didn't manage to bring themselves back, as nothing was really making sense, and I was honestly ready to just try a brand new theory concerning this film and its 500-year history. However, that's when I realized it had been staring at me in the face, and Sisu and Raya had literally been shouting me the answer, and I just hadn't put the pieces together all this time. It has nothing to do with the Dragon Gem whatsoever. It's all about trust, because it's a Disney movie, and I can't think of a better message to kids that Disney would send. In the climax, Raya realizes what Sisu has been meaning for the whole film about bringing Namaari on board. She says when they're all about to be turned to stone by the Druun, it's not about her magic, it's about trust. And it may be hard to believe as the film shows us how amazing Sisu is, with Raya calling the gem the spirit of Sisu, but when she saved the world, she didn't actually trust her siblings as much as they trusted her, whereas when Namaari saves the world, she did trust Raya and the others fully. And this is all shown in the movie by one key difference between these scenes. When Sisu takes the gem and saves the world, she doesn't turn to stone like her siblings. She basically just becomes trapped in the water for 500 years, and she doesn't get the same punishment of being turned to stone as the rest of her species. Whereas when Namaari puts the gem back together at the end and saves the world, she instead goes up to Raya and the others and sacrifices herself to join the other humans, and we do see her for a few seconds turn to stone. The key difference shows that when Sisu's siblings put all of their trust into her, she didn't put the same amount back, and she didn't sacrifice herself as a punishment, which is why she didn't turn to stone, and it's why the dragons never all returned. The same thing could have happened with the humans if Namaari didn't, but yet at the end she does turn to stone and she does sacrifice herself to show that she does have full trust in her friends, and that explains why the humans and the dragons all return the second time. So I think how the magic works is that the gem does bring back every other species apart from the species who are currently using the gem. The way how your own species returns if you're using the gem is by sacrificing yourself and putting all of your faith and trust into your own species, and that then brings them back, which would explain why it works for Namaari and not for Sisu. And there's actually a lot of evidence to suggest that this is the case. Firstly, Sisu describes her siblings as the real mighty ones, and because of that, she never really understood why they gave the gem to her. This shows she doesn't have the same level of trust towards them. Similarly, when we first meet Sisu, she even refers to her saving the world as like when you're doing a group project for school and you don't contribute anything but you still get the same grades as you're just the one who handed it in. She's basically admitting that she didn't contribute the same amount as her siblings and instead just handed the gem in. When Raya first finds Sisu, Sisu says, oh my, this is bad, I've been asleep for 500 years, you brought back the Druun, and none of my brothers and sisters came back.
Why didn't they come back?
Raya then says, I don't know, and Sisu says, also, you broke the gem. This quote here literally shows that Sisu herself and Raya don't understand either why the dragons didn't return, and maybe if Sisu had put her full trust in, she would have known why it didn't work because she didn't make the full sacrifice. And finally, the biggest difference between the two times the world is saved from the Druun that further supports this theory is the way that the dragons and humans are turned to stone, because the film makes it very clear that when someone or something is turned to stone by the Druun, they stand in an upright position with their hands open in front of them in almost like a prayer-like fashion as if they're praying to the Druun. It happens to the humans like Raya's dad and to the dragons just like Sisu's siblings. However, unlike Sisu's siblings, when Raya and the gang save the world, Raya is the only one to make this position when she turns to stone, as when she does, the whole team hasn't fully begun trusting Namaari yet. However, as soon as they all begin trusting Namaari and prepare to sacrifice themselves, when one by one they turn to stone, they end up freezing in the position that they were taken over in rather than the prayer-like position. And by the end, when Namaari joins on, the position they freeze in is a collective trusting position rather than the five of them standing individually with their hands out. Whereas, like I said, when Sisu's siblings turn to stone, they do stand in that individual position, further showing that Sisu didn't have their full trust. But anyway guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure that you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let us know down below in the comments what you thought of Raya and the Last Dragon, and do you agree with this theory? Guys, it was really hard to actually try and think of a solution to this idea of why the dragons didn't return in the first place, but I think we might have found it here. So let me know all your thoughts on this theory and any other ideas you might have about the reason why the dragons didn't return in the first place, and any other theories you might have concerning Raya Raya and the Last Dragon. And guys, we have recently set up our brand new Patreon page. If you haven't checked it out, there'll be a link down below in the description for you guys to go and check it out if you want to support the channel just a little bit more. And as always, we've been here on Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.